Hey guys, what's up? And today we have another video. So, a few days back I was on a shoot. I thought let's just teach you how to get smooth skin using the power of frequency separation. Okay. So, we have the image and first we are going to duplicate it. Control J. Now, this image is not clicked by me, so this is from Pexels. The links are in the description. Make sure you follow the artist. Now, in case you are wondering why did I not use the own image that I got from the shoot, is because I have some negotiations going on with the company or the agency that I was doing it with, and they have still not told me when I can exactly use the image, and this tutorial needs to come soon. That's why. Now, links are in the description. Please follow the artist. Okay, with that said, we have duplicated the layer. Now we are going to remove any blemishes that we can see on this photo with the healing brush tool. So we're going to zoom in, take the healing brush tool, which is over here, as you can see, hold Alt, take a sample and just click on these blemishes. Now remember, the Alt should always be on your left hand and the sample should be from the nearest skin possible to match the tones and the lights. You don't want sudden foreign blotches or different lights on a different part of the skin. So make sure they match and they're closely related. With that said, we'll speed this up. Now, when this part is done, this is when we get to the frequency separation. Let's Control J twice because we need 2 copies. Okay, first let's rename the layer to color and texture. I'm not going to do it, but if you want, rename both the layers so it's easier for you to find later. Now, so first things first, we are going to select the bottom layer, hide the top layer, and go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. And we are going to just use enough blur to make the skin texture invisible. So right about there, I have already used it, so I know. Okay, so this is how it looks with the blur. We are going to unhide the top layer, go to Image, Apply Image, and this is how it's going to look, but don't worry. We are going to go to Layer, and we are going to choose Layer 1 Copy, which is this one, not Layer 1 Copy 2. And this is why, if you are not very accustomed to this, always name your layers. It's easier to find Layer 1 Copy. And the blend mode is going to be Subtract, and this will always be 2 because you want to subtract as much as possible because it's always 2 is the highest rather, and offset is 128 because there are 255 colors, 0 to 255, and divided by 2 to 55 is 128. Now for some of you who are like, wait, it's 256, but what you didn't consider is there was a 0. So when you take 0 to 255, there are 256 colors, and therefore 128 is the middle, which is, it is completely neutral gray. Got it? Let's go. What you will get from this is actually an image that looks something like this. You can see the eyes and some other details, but it's mostly gray. Then we're going to go to the blend mode and we're going to pick linear light, which gets rid of the neutral gray. Now, if you group these 2 layers, yes, and if I remove the background layer, you will say that this group and this image doesn't look much different. And that is the point. It doesn't have to look different. It's the same image. It's just that the texture and the color, which is the skin, is on two different layers. So now I can just reveal one layer and hide the other to show texture where I want and to hide texture where I want. We're going to do that with the masking tool. You can use the masking tool, you can use the lasso tool to create a mask, you can use any tool you want. The basic concept remains the same. I'm using the brush, I'm using it to mask. You can also use the lasso tool or the marquee tool to create a mask. Doesn't matter. Now make sure if you are using the brush tool, the opacity should be around 10-11%, And the reason for that is you do not want very smooth skin. Like if I go here and oh sorry, somehow I have managed to mask the entire group. No, it's here. Remember, the mask should always be on the texture layer, not on the entire group. Anyway, with that said, if I go, and this color should always be black on top and white on the bottom. Black and white, because you are trying to reveal or hide. Black hides, white reveals. Now, as I was saying, the opacity should be low, because if I go to 100% opacity and it's on black, so it will hide this layer and reveal the layer underneath it. And if I paint, it will look like a ghost, as you can see, and you absolutely don't want that. So what you do want instead, let me just delete this mask. Yes, delete. So I'm going to add another mask. Okay, black and white. The opacity is let's keep it 10%, and we're gonna mask. So just paint over these areas that you think you need to paint, and always paint with the skin texture. Don't paint randomly. If the skin is going from this side to this side, always go from this side to this side. That makes it look natural. Just paint over these areas very smooth. And what you'll see is a gradual disappearance of texture from these areas. You can always reduce the size of the brush to get in the nitty-gritty. And go ahead. I'm going to zoom in and speed it up. Okay, with that segment done, we are going to introduce you to mixer brush tool. What does this do? Well, it mixes two adjacent colors very well. It blends them together. Okay, so we're going to select the color layer, which is important, and we are going to use the mixer brush tool. And this thing, this box is currently black. It can be any color, but for our task, we are gonna uncheck this and make sure it's empty, because this is important. Why? Because if there is a color in that box, it will mix that color while it's mixing the other two adjacent color from your image. You don't want that. We're gonna go in, and again, you don't want the wetness of this brush, which is similar to the opacity. It shows how much the brush is going to drag from one point to another, and you don't want the brush to drag colors from this area to this area. You don't. You want the brush to keep it very close by, because otherwise the blending is going to look off. So I'm going to just blend these areas very well, so the blotches of color and skin tones can look smoothed out together. And this will be the final way to do it. Increase the brush size a little bit, and as you can see, these white highlights and the skin color on the side is slowly coming together. And as always, remember, brush with the texture of the skin. Don't brush against it. Here the texture is up and down or down to up, and we are going to paint accordingly. And here the texture is side to side, and we are going to paint accordingly. As you can see, the colors are slowly blending. I don't know if you can see it right now, but once you see the before and after, you will see. We are going to do it. Okay, so we are done. Now, if you can't seem to get what we have done, we are going to just unhide the background layer and hide this group, and you can see. And zoom in just a tad bit more. Place it like this. And you can probably see what we have accomplished with our image. Now there are a number of ways you can do it. You can use the lasso tool to create a mask. You can use the marquee tool to create a mask. You may or may not decide to use the mixer brush tool if you are shooting in that kind of light. None of that matters. What matters is you have the texture on one layer and you have the color on the other. And the color layer is blurred out, remove texture. Now you pick and choose where you reveal your texture and where you reveal your color. I hope that was helpful. Remember to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you and follow me on Instagram.